Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Pre-Market Info.
We have got a sell-off here this morning after the Super Bowl. There, Joel. Is that what they're telling us? Is that what the stats tell us that we're going to sell off here when?
The definition of the
Okay.
Super Bowl indicator indicates that when a team from the old AFL or the AFC division wins, it foretells a decline in the stock market for the coming year.
Is that why we're selling
And
off here?
Ravens pulled it out, so we got a long way to go to get negative on the year.
Well, we've definitely got a sell-off going here this morning. I think you got a little bit of profit taking here, a little bit of maybe a nervous market here. Obviously closed pretty strong on Friday, but not the case here this morning. We are down now 8 points, so drifting down. I still keep that 1491 bogey that you were
Yep.
talking about last week, or actually it was a week and a half ago. We start approaching that area. I still think you're going to find some buyers down there.
Yeah, 1400, or excuse me, 1500 even was the intraday low on Friday. So we'll keep an eye. That should be a good swing number in the session. I'm sure if we get anywhere back up into the 1500 handle, we'll start to see some pretty good sellers.
Let's start with Apple here because Apple actually had a concerning Friday to me. I was actually starting to think that it was consolidating for maybe a potential leg up on Thursday. It took out that 455 area and started drifting down, actually. You can just see it on that last bar there. It traded down as low as 448. It was a quiet, muted day again, but I didn't like it trading below that 455 because the prior 2 days it had held the 455, and then it took it out on Friday. And if we go back to that other pre-market, you can see and that it went all the way down to 448 and then bounced all the way back up to 456 and then started to sell off again. So kind of the 455, 456 area was giving it some trouble, and now obviously it's down $4 here this morning.
I mean, since the earnings, here's the high that you have on the earnings day, and that was 465.63. Have a
560.
monster gap up in that to fill. Who knows if that will ever be filled? And then over the next few days, we started running trouble at the 460 level. So until we can get them above 460 here, Apple looks like it's poised to go down and test the low of the move, Dennis, 435 to 435.86. Only have minor support levels there. Another level traders might want to keep an eye on. 439.68 was the low close of this recent move.
Facebook also had a little bit of a tough day on Friday, pulling back obviously from the sell off the day before on the earnings. It got up there and struggled kind of. I was hoping it could get up towards the mid 31 so I could try a short. It didn't get high enough to do that, only trading up. What was the high there on Friday? I think it only got up just to about the
30.
31.30 area.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then
The
started
high on
selling off.
Friday, no, I actually didn't even get that high. I got to 31.02 before having a pretty steep sell-off. We are now approaching the low since the earnings was announced. You have a two-day low at 28.74, and that's kind of where it broke out from here. Back in December, you had a top. That's where we broke out from. So I think if you do break below that 28.74 level, you're going to have a continued sell-off here in Facebook. Looking at the pre-market activity here, it's just kind of a steady slide south.
Yeah, Google here too. It actually had a decent day on Friday. It was making was that a new 52-week high for Google that it made?
That's a new all-time
Was
high.
it
What are you
really a new
talking about?
all-time high? Wow.
Yep.
So Google all this time, and obviously Apple has been performing. Man, that spread. Look at the Apple Google spread. What is it, 325 points or something now? That's insane because the Google Apple spread was literally zero back in September. They were both at the same price. They were both trading in the 600, 680 area. Now Google is 775 and Apple's down at 450. So yeah, you've got a 325 point spread between those two now. So obviously Google has massively outperformed Apple here in the last 4 months.
Yeah, you had a new all-time high close on Friday in Google at 775.60. We are pulling back in the
Downgrade.
pre-market here, along with the general market. I think if you're kind of hold this stock, you held it through the major decline that you had. You held it through earnings. You got this pop up here. I think I'd give it room down to right around Friday's low, 758.10. That if it gets below there, I think you could, may have to let it go on the long
Yeah,
side.
BMO Capital downgrading Google this morning, which is why it's down $6. They're citing valuation here. They think the stock's just come too far too fast. So that's maybe a little bit of the catalyst why we are weak on Google here this morning. Obviously, along with the overall broad market sell-off, as the S&P is down 8 points as well. We do have Humana reported earnings here this morning, HUM, and they actually did beat a buck 19 versus a buck 11. But the revenue was a bit light, 9.56 billion against estimates of 9.74 billion. Here's the stock. It's had a hell of a run up for the last month, trading 66 bucks when we started 2013, closing up at 75.35. It's only traded 500 shares flat right there at 75.35. So hard to say which way this one's going to go off these earnings. But if you go back into October and November, you have major resistance up there just above the 76 area.
Yep, Humana's been on a nice run here. 75.35 is where we've topped out in the pre-market, trading at that level right now. You look at the next major resistance level here. It's up a little bit of a ways from here. You had a high back in the middle of November at 77.02. That's quite a ways away. I would refer to the daily chart on this one. I would use that 75.39, which was Friday's high. If in fact it gets above that and then comes back under it, maybe looking to at least test the $74.50 level.
Bill Ackman's pretty happy here this morning too. Herbalife trading down $4 more. Ever since we had the Ackman Icon Showdown on CNBC, Herbalife has pretty much been straight down from there. It was trading up around $42, $43 when they had that CNBC Showdown, and now the stock actually trading down in the pre-market, down $4 at 31. The New York Post is reporting that there is a possible FTC investigation here that might start. So that is why Herbalife is under significant pressure this morning. Already traded 470,000 shares, so trading like crazy and under significant pressure.
Yeah, what does the market not like? It doesn't like market probes. It doesn't like accounting scandals and people resigning. And here you have the FTC maybe hopping on the Ackman bandwagon. Icon definitely got a little bit of a squeeze going there and did get a little pop, but it's coming right back in. It looks like his original call here may come to fruition. Looking at support, you did have a low at 29.78 on the last day of the year, December 31st. So looking at the pre-market activity, you've come down under the $30 level. You've got the 29.35. So let's look for support at 29.35 to 29.76. Coming back on the upside. The pre-market high is way up here at close to the $35 level, but 32 may be a good number as resistance.
We mentioned Google getting a downgrade. We have some other key downgrades this morning here as well. Chevron getting downgraded at UBS. They're citing valuation over there for Chevron here. Stock is trading down in the pre-market. It's down about $1.25, trading at 115.25 after closing fairly strong on Friday at 116.50. So Chevron coming under some significant pressure here. Just looking at the charts, you do have a couple of lows in the same area around the 115. 115.05 was Friday's low, and the day before was 115.15. So you have that potential double bottom, but if you start cutting through that 115 area, it starts to really open up.
Yep, good call there. Friday's low was 15.05. You had a low on the day before earnings at 115.15. Going back a little farther, another low at 115.15, 115.28. So we'll keep a whole eye at 115.05 being the low of the move. After that, you should get a quick drop to 114.53 and a little better support coming in at the January 18th low of 114.06.
Walmart also getting downgraded. JP Morgan downgrading, saying that earnings growth could be challenging for Walmart going forward. That's got big old Walmart trading down 70 cents this morning, so that's a pretty big down move here for Walmart. If we go out to the dailies, you can actually see it's had a nice little run up here from 2013. Been very muted, but definitely a nice little uptrend kind of has formed there. I would say the bottom of that trend's probably down to 69.30, 69.40 area. So you got about another 40, 50 cents to go, and that trend would still be intact. But if you're looking at, possibly trying to enter it on the pullback, and you're saying that uptrend's intact, I think that's maybe where you might be able to pick up some stock.
Big move in the pre-market from Walmart here. Not a ton of volume associated with the stock that trades several million shares.
4,700 shares only.
Yeah, a day. 69.70 has been the low in the pre-market. Looking at the daily chart, I mean, you've just had a great run since December, or excuse me, since the beginning of the year. It's ran up from under the $68 level to 67.37 up to 70.5. I think the 69.50 level will be the one to keep an eye on. That's the low that you had on the 30th. Haven't quite got there in the pre-market. I think after 69.50, things start to open up down to the $69 level.
Merck also getting a downgrade. They obviously had earnings on Friday and had the big sell-off with it. A couple of downgrades actually. Morgan Stanley, the big one. Leerink downgrading them as well. Stock is down a little bit further here this morning, down another 60 cents on these downgrades. 41.17 is where it's closed, or where it's trading at in the pre-market. The low on Friday was 41.51, so we are trading below that. And man, it does look like a lot of air here until you get down to the 40 area.
Yeah, not good earnings, and then followed up by a downgrade. So the momentum is going to the downside. 41.51 was the low that you had on Friday. So look at that as resistance if you get any kind of a rally going here. Coming back on the downside, the only really identifiable low here is 40.02. That's what the low that you had on December 31st. Still a buck away from there. So keep an eye, those two levels, 41.5 Friday's low, and then, of course, the low on the 31st. But as you were talking, that stock had some interesting pre-market trading on Friday.
I can't. That's funny. It's such a short-term memory here when you're trading. What was it doing on Friday? Where did it get down to in the pre-market?
Just like we were looking at it on the show and talking about it at 40. It was trading like a madman at 41.75, 41.80.
Yeah.
And then it ended up
opening a little bit too high at 9:30, and then it sold straight off. It opened up around 42.55, so actually it opened up a little bit too high at the 9:30 open, and then sold straight off. So actually, there was a little bit of an opportunity there if you were quick to get on the sell button after the earnings report. And obviously the momentum's still continuing down here this morning. One other upgrade, just Yahoo, Stifel Nicholas upgrading them. Stock is actually trading up 4 cents on a day. We're down 8 points, so holding up relatively well here considering how weak the market is.
Yeah, spent some time above the $20 level, but only managed to have a couple closes above it before pulling back. Looking at a two-day high in the stock, 19.99. We're 20 cents away from that. I'm sure some people are saying, man, I wish I sold Yahoo at 20. So you could find some resistance there. Looking on the downside here, you have a double bottom at 1957 and 1958. So that's a great level on the downside if you're trying to protect from profits from this huge run in Yahoo. Keep an eye on that level as a potential exit point.
Dick Bove was on CNBC around 7:30 this morning, and he was pumping all the banks. He usually does do that, but he was saying that he could see the banking sector going up 30% this year. Maybe we could just do a quick rundown on some of the big ones here. Goldman Sachs has been on a tear, and I mean a massive tear since the start of the year. Stock was at 125 when we started. It's now trading up near the 150 area. Pulling back a bit here this morning with the overall market, but wow. It did kiss over the 150 area too, got up to 150.25. I've actually had this in my investment portfolio for a little while here. I actually took it off the table on Friday, and I got lucky because I sold it up at the 150 and right near the high. Actually, I think what was the high on Friday? It's not very often I sell near the high, but I think I sold it at 150 and a quarter.
Yeah, I have on the consolidated tape 150.40. So
Yeah,
you might have missed it
a few
by
cents.
15 cents there. Yeah, straight up here almost from the $120 level from the beginning of the year. This 150, a nice round number. You find some sellers. Really, that's really the only significant number that you have. Is just the 150.40 from the high from Friday. We're a couple bucks away from that. Sellers will probably start layering things right at the 150 level. Looking at the activity going on today in it, very few trades here. You got to trade at 148.45, just kind of hanging out there. A couple thousand shares have traded. Looking on the dailies,
Just a
first
tear.
support point would be Friday's low of 147.76. But the major support comes in at the $146 level. You had two lows at 145.91 and 146.26.
We're getting a pullback here on all the financials just because that's what's moving. That's what's been moving the market. As the market moves up, so financials move down. Market moves down. Just like Apple used to control the market, I feel like it's the financials that control it. At least lately, 20 Morgan Stanley trading down. Oh, you want to go to Bank of America? We go to Bank of America here actually. It's down 14 cents here. Had a good Friday again, closing fairly strong up at 11.71. We had major resistance forming up at $12, but a ways away from there. But pulling back here this morning down to 11.57. Friday's low is 11.37, so we're kind of hanging out in the middle of Friday's range right now.
Yeah, this stock who reported earnings a little bit earlier in the quarter sold off after the initial report off down to the $11 level and it's gotten a nice bounce. Finding major resistance here at 11.73, had a high at 11.72 on the 25th, 11.73 on Friday, so that's your major resistance. Coming back on the downside, you are 20 cents above the low from Friday, 11.37, but I think if we cut back to there, we could be heading back down to the $11 level.
Look at the Citigroup chart here too. We've got major resistance that has been forming up in the 43 area. We closed up there on Friday, obviously pulling back here, trading down at 42.56 today with the overall market pulling back. But wow, some nice major resistance forming just above the 43 area.
Yeah, nice round number like that, 43.20 was the high with a 43.02 close. Getting a little bit of a pullback here in the pre-market. Just slight sell-off here, nothing major, just small declines here. Let's keep an eye on the activity from Friday in this. You had a low at 42.22. Which was right around Thursday's high at 42.29. That'd be your major support level. In fact, if you take that out, you don't see much at 42. I could see it trading down to the 41.62 to 41.76 level. Those were the highs those were the lows from Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, overall market thoughts as we close the show here, we still are down 8 points. We kind of are just consolidating for the last 20 minutes since we've been doing the show in the 1498 area. What do you think going forward here? And what do you think? Do you think we get down and we get a shot to buy that thing down to 1491, or what's your take?
When is the last time we've been down 8 points in the pre-market?
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It seems like we're up like every day, or at least we close up every day. Like, I mean, we've been on such a tear here, especially in 2013, that it's like, man, I got to remember how to trade these down markets because we don't see them. It doesn't seem like lately. But pulling back here, so what do you think? You think they're just gonna come buy them again?
I think initially you got the Globex low 1497.75. I think we might test that a little bit in the pre-market before the session starts, but I think you'll get a little bounce off there. You know, try and get back into the $1,500 level. 1,500 was Friday's intraday low. That'd be your resistance point. I think you get back above that, and you can migrate towards the close. I think long term though, you still have to look at those those multiple lows that you had at the end of January at the $14.91 level. That's your major support. I think as long as the market can hold above there, be continuing on its merry way north.
That's our show for today. Have a great trading day, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow.